And we are live. Good morning on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. You are joining on the Smart Money Culture TV network, as well as joining around the world on your X, on your LinkedIn, on your YouTube. We love all of them here. It is a great morning across. I mean, it's crazy morning, but it's a great morning here in the capital. As we have with us today, we have Joe Erling. He's running for office in West Virginia. We also have Mel. Mel is joining, Mel Gelderman. He is joining from token.com. So we have some big guys that are joining the show today. Of course, we have the great yeah, let's see here. I messed up my thing. We have the great. There we go. Boom. All right. And now we're live as well on X. I forgot to click the button there. Welcome, guys. We have a great show today ahead of us. We have Joe Erling joining. He is running for office there in West Virginia in the 2nd District. We also have Mel Gelderman joining us this morning from token.com. Mel and I met each other in Paris at Paris Blockchain Week. So it is a busy day. I know my main man here, Matt Dixon, is going to join shortly. But we have, he was just sending me over some of the highlights. FTX Creditors are going to receive 140% to 118% compensation. The German KFC Bank is going to issue some blockchain-based digital bonds. And of course, U.S. regulators are really going after everybody. They're really trying to scare everybody out of everything right now. SEC Chairman, crypto investors have not been properly disclosed, on and on. Grayscale reporting net inflows. And then the Ethereum, Grayscale has withdrawn their application for the Ethereum ETF. So that is interesting. Of course, the markets are down. They're all bleeding at the time of this broadcast. Now, of course, that has we have very manipulated markets. I think a lot of that has to do, of course, with the war that is going on over the wars, I would say. But I feel like good morning. The war over in the Middle East, more than anything, is one of the catalysts. And of course, we have the war in Europe as well with Russia and the Ukraine. Both are playing heck with your money, and they need more and more money to run those wars. And the more money they need to run those wars, the central bank in the U.S. has unrestricted ability to tax you. And so they can tax you as much as they want. And most of the time, you don't even realize it. Most people, I would say, don't even realize that they're getting taxed. Inflation is a tax. So not only is the tax increasing a lot, but on the front end, but it's also increasing a lot more on the back end. I was reading over some of the inflation rates, 20, 30, 50% up. Eggs are up 50%. That's a big number. Actually, probably more like 100% for most people, but it is. It has been pretty crazy. Now, what we have going on right now, and of course, Joe Erling will join shortly. I just sent him over the link, but we have primaries and we have elections starting to happen. So on the 14th in West Virginia, they're having their primary, and there are a few like that are coming up here very closely. So that's stuff you're going to want to participate in. You're going to want to, cast your vote and do what you can in order to participate. I know a lot of us may be disillusioned by the voting after everything that's gone on. But you gotta do it, and you gotta make it happen. Let's bring on Joe Early now. This is Joe Early. He is out in West Virginia running in the 12th district. Veteran Joe Early for Congress. Joe, how are you?
I'm good, Bruce. How are you this morning? And one small correction, West Virginia being a small state, we're down to 2 districts now. So I'm actually running in the 2nd district.
Okay, perfect. So you're running in the 2nd district there in West Virginia. You're up against some pretty big names. We had a short conversation yesterday before coming on. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get in the race.
Well, Bruce, give you a little bit of history, and I think that will help with the where I'm going to go with why I'm running. I'm a retired military senior non-commissioned officer. I spent 20 years on active duty. So in 1982, I signed a blank check to protect and serve this country. And so here I am 20 years after retirement. I'm still doing that. I'm currently working as a federal contractor inside, and I'm a cybersecurity engineer. So my career has taken me all over the world. Second career, first career has taken me all over the world. And I was born in the coal fields of Eastern Kanawha County, West Virginia. And a lot of people, the listeners out here, they're from West Virginia, they understand what that is. I grew up in a coal mining family. And I was actually, from a career trajectory, life trajectory, I was programmed from a young age to go into manufacturing and industry, whether it's steel mill, coal mines, anything that would supported our economy here in West Virginia. So let's fast forward to 2023 when I decided that, hey, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. It was very early on. So I've been doing this campaign now for about 14 months. I am running on the Republican ticket. I'm an America First conservative, and we need to take our country back. So that's the genesis for why I am running, because as I started to look at the political landscape, as our current Congressman, Alex Mooney, is running for the Senate. So he's vacating his congressional seat. I looked at the people who are starting to throw their hat in the race, and I'm like, my God, we have career politicians everywhere. I mean, I've always been hyper political anyway. But looking at what we have in there, we have this family here in West Virginia that stems from a former governor of the state named Arch Moore. Well, Arch Moore was a convicted felon for money laundering, bribery, and things of that. Now, as a Republican in a very heavy Democratic state back in the 1990 and earlier, West Virginia has been under the thumb of the Democrat Party for a very long time, and it has affected our state immensely when it comes down to impoverishing the proud people of West Virginia. So the reason I decided to run is I'm not running against a family. I'm running for my district. I'm running as a public servant. I've been a public servant all my life. I'm still doing that right now as a cybersecurity engineer. But I was like, someone with some backbone and some kahunas needs to be able to stand up and run against this establishment family here in West Virginia. Someone who's got grit, someone who's got some intestinal fortitude and can run. So with my background being former military, active duty, I did serve in combat arms. I was a M1 tanker, which is the old field of being armored cavalry. That's where I spent most of my time. I've had tours in Germany, Korea twice, all over the eastern coast of the United States, and deployments to Kuwait overseas. So my background qualifies me. Not only am I constitutionally qualified, I am also I have the skills necessary in the corporate world, what they call the knowledge, skills, and abilities, KSAs, and the KPIs, key performance indicators, of being able to go to Congress on day one and work hard for West Virginia 2nd District.
Well, it's interesting, and I know there are these seats are, people stay in them for a long time. So talk a little bit about what you're up against. I mean, you mentioned the family. I mean, who are you up against?
Well, let's put it in a sense of a trifecta. I lived a lot of time in Kentucky, so I understand about the Kentucky Derby, which just completed here, and we know what the trifectas mean. So right now, in the case of politics in West Virginia, we have a sitting senator right now named Shelley Moore Capito. She votes almost 70% of the time as a stated conservative. She votes almost 70% of the time with Joe Biden and the Biden administration and Democrat policies, whether it be anywhere from funding Ukraine with American taxpayer dollars, failure to secure our border, and continuing this incestuous relationship with big pharma, big tech, and it's killing us. So then, what she's trying to do this cycle, because we have the Congressman Mooney is vacating his seat, Jim Justice, our current governor, Rhino governor, has termed out, and he's now running for the former. He's a lame duck senator right now, Joe Manchin. So our governor's running back. There's a lot of chess pieces moving on the board here in West Virginia. So she's taken this opportunity to install, and I emphasize install, her son as governor, her nephew, my opponent, as a sitting congressman in 2nd District, and propping up Jim Justice for senator, running against a fiscal and constitutional conservative in the name of Alex Mooney. So, we've got to be careful here in West Virginia. When Alex Mooney vacates his seat, we cannot backfill that with my opponent, who is a rhino. And to qualify the statement of rhino, I know we hear that term a lot, Republican in name only. Sometimes it's just banter, but in this case, it is in fact a true statement, because this individual, Riley Moore, and I hate to say my opponent's name because I don't want to give him any platform, but people need to understand who Riley Moore is and was. I served my country for 20 years under the flag of the United States. So let's compare and contrast. You have a 20-year Army veteran prepared to serve his country again, but this time in the halls of Congress. Or we can choose, on the other hand, a Republican in name only, former Democrat operative, a federal or a foreign agent or a registered foreign agent who worked for John and Tony Podesta, worked for the Democrat Party while we were trying to get President Trump elected in 2015, 2016, because he worked through the Podesta group all the way into mid 2017. That was after President Trump was elected in his first term. So this is a guy who has worked to raise money for the Democrat Party, the Democrat Party initiatives, their platform, the tenets of everything that they stand for. He worked for them. A free Ukraine. He worked for the Chinese. He worked for governments that are not friendly to the United States, all because of money. And so this is the guy I'm battling right now. So he's got deep pockets. I'm not going to lie. He's raised a lot of money this cycle. He's outraised me probably 4-1. And he's sitting somewhere around the $900,000 million threshold. So now go ahead.
Okay, so you have the primary is coming up, right?
Yes, the primary is on May the 14th.
So May the 14th, and you're up against, and the sitting person is a rhino.
No, the sitting person is a fiscal conservative and a member of the Freedom Caucus.
Okay,
and that's Alex Mooney.
And that's Alex Mooney. And Alex Mooney's stepping down.
Yes, he's moving to run for the Senate. That's correct.
And the person that they're trying to install is the rhino.
He's got establishment all over him.
I mean Podesta, you can't go any further. I mean, it's all over right there. As soon as not only is there all kinds of bad stuff with that guy, that family.
Well, I mean, look, he's replaced John Kerry as Biden's right-hand man with international Green New Deal bartering as the green energy czar. And that's impacting West Virginia. West Virginia is the second largest coal exporter in the United States, just behind Wyoming. We're in the top, well, obviously top 5, but we're number 2. Not only that, we also are sitting in it's called the Marcellus Shale, the Utica Shale. It's called the Shell Crescent area in our northern panhandle. There are so much natural gas reserves in there for all of American, not just for American consumption, but export to the world, which would enhance our economy greatly if we could just get the overburdened government regulations lifted so that we can drill and frack and mine here in West Virginia. We're sitting on 500 years of coal, just coal alone in West Virginia.
500 years, and that's for the whole world. Is the amount of coal. So
absolutely,
it's a short segment here, so we got to wrap it up. How do people support you? Where do they go? What do they do?
Okay, well, look, I appreciate this giving me a platform. Joe Early, and that's EARLEY, number 4, WV.com. I would appreciate, we're running up to the last minute. We're trying to push out more ads. If you are able to donate, please donate. There's a donate button there. You can look at a lot about my platform. I have plenty of socials for Facebook and Twitter. I'm out there. And Bruce, I really appreciate you having me on and letting me talk about what's going on here in West Virginia, because West Virginia is a microcosm of what's going on across the United States, from transgender rights, American energy, education. And you know what? We need to look at the $85 billion that we're pushing into the Department of Education, and we need to abolish the Federal Department of Education, which is a complete waste of taxpayer money.
We need to abolish a lot of things. I talk about
it all the time
here. Joe, great to have you on. Let's have you on again. I really appreciate your service, and you have our support.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Joe Early, the great Joe Early, followed right by the great Matt Dixon. Matt, we are moving forward here. The markets are bleeding. What do you think, man?
Yeah, they're bleeding a little bit. Not too much. It's actually quite interesting. I just want to show you my screen straight away. I mean, we'll jump first of all, I guess, into those little, let me just see from the start. I trust you can see that.
Yes, let me just, I added it to the screen. Yes, I thought this was pretty interesting, man. These guys are getting paid. I mean, I know they had to sit on it for a while, but they're getting paid more than they lost. And they're getting paid in the currency that they had, right? Is that the deal?
I think so, yeah. So, there's obviously it's a good outcome, very good outcome for the creditors. It's unusual to have that, but just shows a sort of, I mean, it's amazing the way Solana's been a big part of this, because obviously that was kind of wrapped up within the FTX crisis, and Solana's appreciated so much. It's allowed this, really. A lot of these crypto assets have appreciated, whether it's off the back of the Bitcoin ETF or whether it's just off the back of, the amazing blockchain that Solana is. And, it is becoming the retail chain, and it's supporting so many different exciting, innovative projects now. So I don't know quite what the reason is, but anyway, that's really good news. And yet we've got still regulators on the back of crypto so much. But there's some good news here. We are seeing real institutional adoption. We did say that once we get the Bitcoin ETF, it will open the institutional floodgates to crypto. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. 168 asset managers now holding BlackRock IBIT. So that is a real testament to the fact that institutions are now getting more and more involved. Has positives and negatives, but I would say mainly positives. We want the asset class to mature. I mean, obviously, it's only Bitcoin at the moment, and as we move down, and I'm not sure what it mentions here. I think we have mentioned, at the bottom, about Grayscale Ethereum futures ETF application being withdrawn. And this is all to do with the regulators now getting, onto everything. And it's just surprising, to be honest. So, it's good news that we see Germany's KfW Bank is now issuing blockchain-based digital bonds, which is, another great advance. I don't think it's stoppable. It's unstoppable. So I'm not quite sure what the SEC are trying to do, because they're firing off in all directions. So
it's like, I mean, I think really when the market starts to go down, they just try to push it down, and when it goes up, they try. It just looks to me like blatant market manipulation.
Yeah, so they've attacked Ethereum, they have attacked MetaMask, they have attacked Consensus, they have now attacked Robinhood, they've attacked Uniswap. I mean, honestly, the list goes on.
And I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, I saw the Robinhood thing, and I think they're going after PayPal too. I mean, you're telling me that with all the billions of dollars of Robinhood and PayPal, that their lawyers didn't have them doing the things correctly? I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely surprised. And we saw that, I don't know whether you saw it, the advisor to Joe Biden, you know, the economic advisor, did you see that's been tweeted? I've seen it's been retweeted, I think, or viewed 15 million times now. It's absolutely shocking, disgraceful, and frightening that this is the guy who's the chairman advising Joe Biden on economic policy. And he's absolutely lost when he tries to explain about basically QE, about money printing and government borrowing. He's completely lost and befuddled. You know, I don't know what words to say. It's shocking that these guys are the guys that are in charge. And I looked up his salary. I mean, it's a fair salary. I think it's $58,000 is his basic salary. But clearly, he has nothing to contribute, zero to contribute. The guy is utterly and totally confused by the economic policy. He has no idea what is going on. This guy, seriously.
Preach.
Go onto my X. Please just check out. It's yesterday I posted it. Someone else posted it. I posted it. It is absolutely frightening, honestly.
Yeah.
Just cannot believe it.
Yeah.
So they're talking about the inevitable wave of enforcement actions, and you wonder what is behind it, really.
Exactly.
Or something.
It appeared to me before they did this ETF. I mean, even down to this is total conjecture. Don't get me in trouble on this. I'm just saying, looked like to me, okay? But even down to his X account getting hacked. It was hacked. And then he released the news or whatever it was, and then the markets tanked or they went up. I can't remember at the moment. And then, oh no, sorry, my account was hacked. I mean, it's like crazy. It's crazy. It looks like
these guys be in charge, honestly. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, on the good news side, Grayscale reporting net inflows past couple of days. It probably is outflows today, I'm guessing. But actually, we'll check out the Bitcoin chart in a minute. It's still looking really good, and it's actually following our predictions precisely to the letter so far. Not to say it will do going forward, but it's looking good right now. And then sadly, Grayscale have withdrawn their Ethereum futures ETF application. And I think that's because of this SEC attack on Ethereum, basically saying it's a security. Again, they seem to be really trying to stifle innovation, as it were. So, actually, I was just going to have a quick look. Yeah, I was going to have a little quick look at, it's here about where am I? This is the ETF inflows, the Bitcoin ETF inflows, outflows across the board. So you can actually see it's kind of leveling off a little bit. So the initial flurry of activity, which was initially a little bit negative, then it proved quite positive. It's drained off a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily a lack of interest in the ETF. I think these things are driven by the markets very much, because whilst there's great institutional interest, there's also a lot of retail buying in these ETFs. And there's also been an awful lot of profit taking, which you've got to take account of, because people bought into Grayscale before it became an ETF at a massive discount, when it was basically effectively an investment trust. And so they bought in at a massive discount. Once it became an ETF, it gave them an exit route, basically, to take all those profits. So that accounts for some of the outflows. So it's leveling off a little bit now, but I think that's really in line with the market. And we won't go into all the market fundamentals. We've touched on them briefly, but obviously we're seeing growth falling very rapidly. 2 quarters in a row now that we've seen the GDP falling dramatically, way more than expectations. So that's a sign the economy is slowing. We had the employment figures out last Friday, again, way weaker than expected. So we've got PPI figures on the 14th, so next week on the 14th. So we'll see what they come out at. Producer price index, so it's about prices paid. So if that comes down, that could actually be quite positive for the market. It will mean there's less upward pressure on interest rates, or when I say upward pressure, less pressure to keep interest rates as they are and more pressure to actually potentially reduce interest rates. And then the next day, we've got CPI figures. CPI is currently 3.9%. So it's virtually twice the target rate of 2%. But even though it's twice the target rate, if we see it moving in the right direction, if we see any declines, and I suspect we're going to start to see declines in CPI, because we'll check again in a minute, but energy prices are falling, and we're seeing things like employment under pressure, GDP falling, etc., etc. So I think that inflationary pressures will begin to fall and will probably fall off quite rapidly. And this will give the Fed room to maneuver with reducing interest rates. And they will want to reduce interest rates. They've got to be careful not to be seen to be biased, obviously, ahead of the election. But I still think that they will want the economy to remain buoyant. And so there will be some serious pressure to reduce interest rates as long as we see inflation beginning to soften. And then they'll be able to say, yes, we've got inflation now going in the right direction towards our target of 2%. And so we can now reduce interest rates to ensure that they're at a 23-year high for interest rates. I mean, these are high rates, really, considering where we're at. So there's room to reduce these rates if we see inflation beginning to fall. So that's what we're looking for next 14th and 15th of the month. So we'll just take a quick look around the markets, because I know, again, I guess my time's limited, but we've got my triangle. I just zoom out first of all. I think always good to look at the long term. So again, we can just see, first of all, that the trend direction is still upwards. This choppy movement sideways is just a correction. So that tells me that Bitcoin is likely to go in the direction of this blue arrow to the upside to new all-time highs, I believe, because this is just basically a corrective continuation pattern, meaning price will continue in the direction of the trend to the upside. So that's really good. But there have been some changes since yesterday, but actually precisely in line with what we said. So we said that a triangle, which is an ABCDE formation, being a correction, is a pre-terminal wave, then following it you get a terminal wave. Now, quite interestingly, and we'll open this out a little bit today, we've got in blue, we've got wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside, which makes a larger fractal, wave 1. They're like Russian dolls, waves within waves. So every impulsive wave itself is made up of 5 smaller waves. And then the impulsive wave within that 5 smaller waves is also made up of 5 smaller waves, right down to the minute waves. So we see very clearly here, when I open it out, that we said that we're likely to get a thrust from the triangle from the E wave, which is the only wave allowed to go outside of these trend lines. So it's the only one that did, so it followed the rules perfectly. Then from that low point that we saw there, around the 56,000 mark on Bitcoin, we had this as a target even before price got there. That was somewhere around the target we were aiming at. And then from there, we moved up impulsively. So in the blue, wave 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, 4 down, 5 up. Now, if in your spare time you have the inclination, you can check the Fibonacci relationships. They're amazing. But then, as I said, you have waves within waves. So this wave 3 is a strong impulsive wave. It's normally the extended wave, meaning it's the larger wave. And it will normally extend to 1.618 as a minimum times wave 1. Or 2.618 or 4.236. This one, in actual fact, extended to exactly 2.618 times the previous wave 1. So again, a perfect Fibonacci relationship. And we can quite clearly see within this blue wave 3, it was made up of a wave 1 up in red, 2 down in red, extended wave 3 up in red, wave 4 down in red, and then wave 5 up to complete the larger wave 3. Then we got little wave 4 back in blue, in a final wave 5. That completed wave 1 of a larger fractal higher, and then we get a correction. Corrections are normally in the form of ABC. That's the most simple correction you'll get, and that's clearly what we've had here, ABC. It's a really nice tidy correction, all fitting with the rules beautifully. And then we can see that we actually said the price will likely be supported by this triangle trend line. And again, just to show you, I'll just go back to show, it's a trend line that was drawn perfectly according to triangle rules, connecting wave B, wave D, and then we can see that we got the A and C line, giving us the line here, which wave E overshot, and then we pushed up from there. So I said, if we push up in the thrust from the triangle, and this is what's called a terminal thrust, that should be made up of 5 waves in red here, large waves in red. So we've got wave 1 up, and then we're looking at an ABC down, and we said it will likely be supported by this triangle trend line, and that is precisely what's happened. You can see the price touched a number of times on this supporting trend line, and it's begun to move higher. So we don't know for sure, it's not guaranteed or anything like that, but it's actually moved up according to our expectation. So again, if you're wanting to trade this going long, you could have jumped in just above this line, stop loss just below it, and now you can actually move your stop loss to break even and hopefully ride the market higher. If it goes down, you don't lose anything because you moved your stop loss to break even. But if it goes up, the potential here is to move to new all-time highs on Bitcoin. From where we are now, 62,366. The previous all-time high was about 73,000. So almost 20% higher than the current level. That's without any leverage, almost 20% higher. And if this is correct, and we do push up in the third wave here, remember third waves, like the third wave here and like the third wave here, are normally the aggressive extended wave. So if this is correct and we get a third wave higher, it's likely to be extended, it's likely to be aggressive and powerful to the upside. And so you could actually potentially achieve that 20% very, very quickly on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin at the moment is the real driver because all of the interest really is focused on Bitcoin because it has the ETF approval, because it had the halving, and a lot of focus was on that halving, the reduction of new supply of the Bitcoin. There are many other things with the runes, the ordinals. These are really exciting innovations, use cases for Bitcoin. So many fundamental factors, but also these are what we call technical factors. These charting factors are technical. So we have fundamentals and we have technicals, the two driving forces. And obviously supply and demand are the ultimate driving forces that would drive Bitcoin higher. And those fundamentals and technicals feed through into basically reducing supply and increasing demand. So I'm very, very bullish at the moment on Bitcoin. Not to say it can't go lower, but the odds and the probabilities are really bullish at the moment, I think, on Bitcoin. And we're seeing the other cryptocurrencies kind of looking corrective to the downside. Here's Ethereum again. We've got some kind of ABC move to the downside. So potentially Ethereum, we're going to see more upside. Litecoin, again, you can see here from this high point here, ABC down potentially. So again, even Litecoin potentially upside. We can look at any of the tokens, but XRP is probably one of the more confusing tokens. But as I said, when there's a big breakout, XRP tends to be aggressive. Solana, again, it's had a bit of a pullback. Maybe we'll pull back further, but actually the longer term outlook for Solana is extremely positive. And I think that in this cycle, we will certainly challenge and probably overtake the previous all-time high of $260. And right now we're $146. So we're talking, almost 100% higher on price. Again, no guarantees, but it's looking really, really positive for Solana. It really is a chain of choice for retailers at the moment. Now, we did mention the easing of inflation pressures. And here we look at oil. We have actually declined even further the last few days. We did say that our target was at least the 100% extension. So we measured from the top here, the bottom of this wave, transposed the top of that wave, and 100%. We're actually bang on 100% right now with the price 77.50, but we did actually dip below it. So maybe price will turn here and turn higher, or maybe we will extend further, because the fact that we've broken that support, that is now not particularly a strong support. What we do see is, from a technical perspective, and I'll just draw this line from a previous low point there. We had a low point which virtually we virtually tested it. Let's just see. I mean, we didn't even quite test it, but basically there's a support there and there's a support below there as well. So there's a couple of supports, but there's nothing at the moment to push. And we heard the gentleman just on now talking about America's potential to export more energy. And there is more. I mean, the technology in America is amazing about extracting oil that was previously not extractable. So technology has made that possible. So it means the supply is greater. And at the moment, we're seeing a cessation of hostilities at the moment around the world. And that's potentially causing a bit of a weakening of oil prices. And we're also seeing, as I say, some of the economic metrics are weakening a little bit. So demand might fall off a little bit. So we could see lower oil prices. The next target after here, because we broke that 100%, the next target might be $73, $73.25 here. So that would be a next target down for oil. And again, if that happens and we continue to see weakness in oil prices, that would be easing pressure on inflation, and it would give us a lot of potential upside, more upside for risk assets. So we'll just quickly look at SPX. So look at this amazing move we've had on the SPX. So again, it's looking, I did say yesterday, we're most probably going to break to new all-time highs. And especially if next week's news on PPI and CPI are a bit weaker, I think we're going to see a really strong rally here in the S&P 500 and in Bitcoin to new all-time highs, I suspect, and all of the other cryptos. So at the moment, things will obviously tread water. I say obviously, probably tread water a little bit ahead of that news next week. We're getting quite close, just a few days away now. So things may tread water just a little bit before that news. But if the news comes out weaker, as I suspect it will, that's going to be a really good boost to risk assets. But at the moment, as Bruce said, across the board, things are looking a little bit weak, but nothing dramatic. I mean, BNB, one of those ones that we always say is very positive. BNB is actually at 1.2%, 1.3% almost today. So BNB has remained in this consolidation sideways. I suspect if we get the good news from CPI, BNB is going to break higher fairly dramatically, like the rest of the tokens. And ICP, once again, just look at it. It looks kind of sideways corrective, kind of bull flag formation kind of thing. You know, a bit of an impulse upside here, you know, strong impulsive kind of move. I think that we're likely to see some more upside on ICP as well. So most of those tokens, Bruce's favorite doggy is again looking kind of corrective to the downside after this impulsive move here. So I don't doubt, especially probably based off the CPI next week, we'll get a strong rally on doggy as well, and all the other memes that go with it. So in general, I think things are looking really positive across the board. But what's good to note is that it's been pretty much according to our expectation. And also what's good to note is that despite all these SEC enforcements, the market is becoming inured to it or used to it. So the market is not being hit hard when the SEC takes another, I can't remember what they call them now, these actions, but when they take another action against an institution, a crypto. I mean, Consensus is big, and you know, again, they've taken pot shots at Consensus now. So the thing is, the market's ignoring it because I think the Fed, not the Fed, sorry, I could say the Fed as well actually, but the SEC are kind of making themselves irrelevant because they're just firing off at everything without any real rhyme or reason, it seems. Nobody quite understands why they're taking all of these actions. So it's good, I think, that the market is taking less and less interest in what they're doing, and the market will continue to move forward based on real economic fundamentals of what's happening, particularly in the US economy. So all in all, positive day, Bruce. I think even though we're seeing slight negativity, mainly across the board, in general, it's very mild negativity. And I think we're going to see some positive moves.
Yeah, I think overall you're right. When we have pullbacks now, it's not like the pullbacks that we used to have. Those were pullbacks. Now we 2, 3, 4%, and then of course it makes everything else move quite a bit. But yeah, another great report, and I think things they always like to push things down before they bring them up. So.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's your words, wasn't it? They actually, no one likes to take a position ahead of the important news that's coming out, because we as mortals, mere mortals, don't know what the news is going to be. Some people with a bit of inside information probably do, but we don't. So we don't like to take positions ahead of important news. So next week's CPI is one of the more important announcements, because everything actually hinges on inflation. That is what Fed policy will revolve around, is where is inflation at? Does it give them room to maneuver? And if we see any weakening on inflation, then we have room to maneuver with lower interest rates, which will boost the market.
That's the way it works. Well, fantastic. Thank you so much. I want to bring on here Mel Gelderman. Mel Gelderman, he is the CEO of Token.com. I'm going to bring him on. He's a great guy, and he's a lot of fun.
Bruce, good to see you.
We met at Paris Blockchain Week. How are you?
Good, very good. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, thanks for coming on again. And I know we went kind of back and forth, but you're on the trail, man. I mean, you're setting the pace, doing the deal. Where are you right now?
Yeah, so I'm home in Portugal. So yeah, pretty good. Good weather here, better than the UK where I'd lived the 7 years prior.
Well, Portugal is so beautiful. It's one of my favorite places in the world to go see. I love Lisbon. I love the Algarve. I mean, my brother is actually there in the Algarve. He's just drinking the wine and hanging out. I'm trying to get him to work, but it's hard because it's such a relaxed atmosphere there. Where in are you in Lisbon, or where are you in?
No, I'm in Madeira. Yeah, okay. One of the islands.
Okay, cool. Well, tell us a little bit about Token.com. And I know you guys have been at it for a little year, maybe the history of it and what you guys are working on right now.
Yeah, thank you. So look, this is quite a gear shift from your last guest, who was doing a very technical analysis on the market. So Token.com is basically on the other end of the crypto spectrum in the sense that what we're really building is an interface which makes tokens accessible really to the whole world, right? That's the ambition here, right? So if we quickly look at the market today, right, we see Coinbase and we see Binance, and these are essentially, crypto's biggest kind of mass market experiences, right? So when our friends and our family get into crypto, we tell them, well, just get Coinbase, right? But in the last bull markets, right, I've seen my family and friends get excited about crypto, and then they log on to Coinbase and they just see this list of coins. They just see this list of these weird names, right, with like lots of numbers next to it, and they're alienated, right? They don't actually understand what any of these things are, why they should invest their money in them, how they're changing the world, what they're doing, right? And the reality, therefore, is that the kind of mass market experience for crypto has not yet reached its end game state, right? There's just no way that in 10 or 20 years, crypto to the world out there still looks like this kind of start page interface, right? And so basically, there's this mega opportunity. What's going to be the company? Who are going to be the people that actually develop this billion user interface, right? Like Coinbase and Binance kind of capped out at 100 million, despite all the money they have, despite all the momentum, they struggle to move past 100 million. And I think a big part of that is the UX that we give people, right? Crypto is just boring compared to other things people can do in the world, right? So basically, token.com has just turned everything on its head in crypto. And we've built an experience that I think my 21-year-old cousin and my grandma and all my friends would really enjoy when they get into crypto next time, right? Like during this cycle, right? And I was trying to get this to project properly, but I'll just show it on my phone. Our app is literally this storytelling machine for tokens, right? So I have this loads now. So it's going to be a little pixely, but basically it's this interface where you can just swipe from one video to the next, right? And the token, it's a little hard to see, but the token is tagged at the bottom here. A little hard to see. I wish I could present this properly.
We're able to see. I'm able to see it anyway.
Yeah. So essentially, it's this interface where you can discover stories, like the latest narratives and stories from creators like yourself, Bruce, right? And the creators can tag the token directly. So this video has Bitcoin tagged, right? I can actually click on Bitcoin and get a little profile of it. The next update is going to include that I can swipe down and then see videos specifically about Bitcoin. But in general, the experience is that you are kind of browsing the latest stories about tokens. And then when you see something that resonates, like this video here about Matic, you can just hit the buy button and then you can just tap to buy like that. We're literally trying to make investing, rather than this super cognitively involved experience like it is today on Coinbase, where you kind of first have to answer the impossible question of what do I buy? The next question is, well, how much do I buy? Both of these questions we're trying to turn into this extremely simple flow where people just, discover stories and narratives that resonate with them and then invest a little bit into the things that kind of, touch them. And then they keep going.
Well, it's really so cool. In token.com, it's such a great name here. Let me.
Yeah. So I mean, basically in the end, we can already see in our data. So we have 100,000 users right now. In our data, we can see that users, rather than investing in just one or two tokens like they would do conventionally on the traditional exchanges, on our platform, they're investing in many different tokens. So this is my portfolio here, right? It's very easy to kind of discover old tokens that you've never heard of. I hadn't heard of Wormhole yet. And then last week, video at the top of my feed explaining Wormhole to me. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. I like Solana, right? Let's give this a try. Why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, really cool. I mean, that type of interoperability, that type of, where you can just move around and really experience the tokens, because there's a lot of experience on the token in crypto right now that a lot of people don't understand. And you kind of touched on that earlier with the whole Coinbase experience, and not to down Coinbase, but yeah, you get in, it's just an interface, you buy. Oh, shoot, if you buy with your bank and not your debit card, then they hold it for 3 weeks sometimes. I mean, it's a little tricky. And the whole thing and hard to understand. And then you guys are wild and free and Web3.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, right? Indeed, Coinbase done an amazing job to get the industry to where it is today, right? Binance, full credit to all these other players, right? However, where is the industry going, right? Well, we believe we're going to a mass tokenized world, right? That ultimately this revolution that Bitcoin started and that Ethereum kind of accelerated, it is just getting started, right? This transition of this old world economy to this new world economy, right? We're only a decade in, basically, just over a decade in, and basically. Where this will end up, right? We believe, is that almost any venture or idea or concepts that has value to humanity will be tokenized, right? Whether it's the local yoga studio, right, or a car or a house, or a rocket business, right, trying to build a moon base, right? So, and basically, it's that world that we're building our app for, right? A world where tokens are in such abundance all around you, representing all things that you might find fascinating, but you, as Bruce and as Mel, are having trouble like figuring out which ones, or like finding these tokens, right? Because your Coinbase and your Binance only shows you the top coins, right? Like, and so instead, imagine an experience a bit like YouTube, a bit like Instagram, right? Where these social media apps, they know you so well, they know exactly what video or what post to show you on a particular day, even though they have millions of new posts submitted every day, right? They just show you the handful that are relevant to you. Well, we can do that for tokens. We can actually make sure, right, that whatever you're fascinated in, Bruce, our app will show you, as time goes on, all the tokens relevant to those interests. And we'll look at what your friends are investing in, right? So they'll literally show like, Vitalik Buterin just invested in this token or whatever, right? Like whoever you're connected with, right? We're building a social network for investing, right? And so, yeah.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, that's what has been. People have had, tried to put this together, for a while. And the social network for investing, and how powerful is that, right? What you guys have done is, well, one, you have the name. I mean, token.com. I mean, it doesn't get much better than token.com. And then as well, then the technology, I think, has caught up where you're able to build a next generation app that is working, and that people are able to hop on there and use. So now, is it in the App Store? Is it operational? Where are you guys and everything?
Yeah, so we are currently, most of our customers today are in South America, in Brazil specifically, and in Europe. These were our trial markets. We have fiat on-ramps as well, right? Because we really have this ambition to get more people into the crypto industry and make them stay, right? Like actually retain them. However, over the last 6 months, we've been going to lots of events, meeting lots of people, and it's super clear that there's massive demand globally from the Web3 community for our products. So we are currently on track to launch that you can use that you can bring your own wallets, basically a wallet connect. You'll be able to download our app anywhere, pretty much anywhere in the world. US pending, right? Like with a bit of luck, but our compliance team is trying to figure that one out. And yeah, then you can connect your own wallets, right? So we're currently really focused on Europe and South America, but we're going for a global launch towards the second half of this year. Absolutely.
Well, South America is massive market. Of course, Europe is a well-established market, but South America, South Central America are massive. The U.S., of course, is the crown jewel. I know we've gone back and forth. I hope you're coming to Consensus. We're doing our signature gala at Consensus, so definitely want you there. Our Washington Elite Gala. Consensus it's just going to be such an important event. I feel like, even to meet the regulators that you're going to want to cozy up to, because that's what it's all about. It's all about relationships. I mean, you can see, even if the superpower U.S., trust me, it is, I don't need to tell you, but it really is about who you know and who knows you. And so I think that'll be an important event.
And I agree, and I will be there. So we'll meet again soon. But the US is such a culturally significant, foundation for the world, from a technological perspective in particular, right? And it's kind of tragic how the US is kind of just opting out of crypto. And so hopefully Consensus is gonna, change the tide at least a little, right? That's our job.
Hope so. I mean, definitely we did. We just did an event here with the Government Blockchain Association. That was really the underlying thought process there. We had on a presidential appointee. We had on some other people, and they're really pushing that. So I think that we're definitely going to push that. If you do want tickets for Consensus, you can use referral code Bruce, and you can get 15% off on that. And as well, the gala, Washington Elite Luma, lu.ma/Washington Elite Gala. Love anybody who's watching to join us. So token.com, you guys are pushing forward. I love it. I love the app. You're also very TV friendly. You have great charisma, which is so important for a CEO, and you don't get that all the time. So moving forward here, we have the rest of 2024. I think the bull market probably continues, even if we go like this for a little while. I think we push up pretty high. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's we're all wishing for the bull market. So yeah, like it's like a bit like reading tea leaves, you know. Like I think historically, typically bull markets have really happened once like significant new innovation has happened in our space, right? So whether it was kind of originally, you know, like Bitcoin obviously was the original innovation, then Ethereum, and then DeFi, and then NFTs, and you know, like a lot of like momentum has come out of authentic new innovations. And I think we're getting there, right? Like obviously, like we're trying to bring something new to the table, something that hopefully will actually really tell the stories of all the token projects, right? Like ultimately, that's why I think meme coins have succeeded so well. At least in the last cycle, people were just like ordinary people were just getting so fed up with all this crypto babble, this techno babble that no one understands. And so instead, they just buy the thing with the dog on it. Like literally, that is all my friends and family ended up kind of going that way, right? And I don't blame them. It's because our industry fails to communicate the stories of all these token projects, right? So basically, you know, I think our industry really does need a few more key innovations, and some of them are happening with like scalability. There's a lot of amazing GameFi stuff, a lot, like social, like I think Farcast is really interesting, Lens Protocol really interesting, huge fan. We'll be integrating both of them probably, but we're really trying to solve the part where people can actually understand and really, you know, investing in tokens should be this put your money where your mouth thing is, right? Like we should live in a world where we're all investing in the things that we truly believe in, and collectively we can usher those things into existence. We can spawn the technologies and the companies that we all believe in. That's the promise of tokens. And so I think, you know, certainly we are all in the right industry. Certainly we all are on track to success. But the trajectory here is, you know, measured in decades, not in months, unfortunately. Now, you know, I don't know if the price is going to massively go up this year. I really hope so, right? But I think within the next 2 years, like 24 months, the new technologies will come in. I know when our platform will really start to mature to kind of live up to its full potential, and that'll be, you know, in the next 12 to 24 months. So, you know, I think there's probably a bunch of other projects like that, which will mean that, you know, maybe the bull run is a little different this time. Maybe it has a little slower start. Maybe it's a little more drawn out, but I really do think we will end up with huge peaks, right? Because cool stuff is coming. Yeah,
it is coming, and it actually has been different kind of every time. When FTX, that pump with FTX is unbelievable, up to 69,000. Of course, every time it has gone up, it went up higher than I thought. So I think it's going to go up 150. So I don't know if that means it goes up 250, guys. But
yeah, it's so easy to forget what the vibe was like during other phases of the last bull runs, right? Like now now everyone's like kind of like level-headed, relatively calm, right? But things actually do get really crazy. It really does happen where everyone around you, all the normal people who never were interested in crypto, all of a sudden are interested. Right. Like these things do happen. It feels like a long way away right now, but we'll get back there, and we're preparing for that moment with our app.
Well, it was funny. I was talking Circle, of course. They have some of their guys here on the hill, and I was talking to them, and we were laughing. I was like, "Yeah, I was telling about the gala, and I was like, well, you know, we've done the Versace Mansion a couple times. Actually, I went to your party at the Versace Mansion a few years ago," and he goes, "Oh yeah, that was back during the height of the bull run." You know, we were both laughing about it. But it is a lot of fun. So token.com, guys. Mel Gelderman. Check it out. I'm a huge supporter. I love the project. I don't even have to ask you to tell where to send people, because it's token.com, guys. Token.com. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Really appreciate it.
Cheers.
See you soon. Take care.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to